It's 3 o'clock. Good afternoon. We'll call this meeting to order. Today is July 2nd, 2024. First order is we will approve the order of agenda. Any comments on the agenda? If not, I will take a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion a second. All in favor signify and say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We will go to item B. Minutes of the meeting June 4th, 2024. Everyone had a chance to look at the minutes.
I move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Now we move to item C, introduction and recognition. So you will notice that we have 3 members that are not here anymore and 3 new faces. So want to take a moment to recognize the outgoing planning members, community leaders John Gunkelman, Rocky Schneider, and Don Morgan. Besides serving on Planning Commission, they've very much been leaders throughout the development of neighborhoods and the community overall. MetroCog, historic preservation, all 3 are very active and have a lot of experience up here, right? They've done a lot of work with Planning Commission and City of Fargo. John Gunkelman has served since December 2011. Rocky Schneider has served since March of 2013, and Don Morgan since July of 2017. We encourage all 3 active members to continue to help us as we move forward with the Land Development Code, as they've been hugely instrumental in the growth plan. They've definitely helped move some of our processes and helping us as we write some new codes. We very much thank them. Commissioners serve without pay, so we're all here in serving our community to make Fargo a better place to live. We thank them for their volunteerism, and we hope we take it on to continue to do great work. Also, thank you again, Rocky, Don, and John. We also recognize 3 incoming commissioners. So there was a call for volunteer throughout the city communications, and we had 15 residents, which is really exciting. 15 people put their names in to be planning commissioners. So they went through a process. Grateful that a lot of people are interested in serving our community. And after reviewing backgrounds, interest, experience, where they live throughout the city, trying to see us covered throughout the city of Fargo, these 3 were nominated by the mayor to become planning commissioners. So you will see approved by the city June 24th, and new commissioners are Paul Gley. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you.
Tyler Mose.
Thank you.
Welcome, Tyler. And Amy Hass.
Thank you. Good job.
So we very much thank service of those who served, and we welcome the service of the new 3 commissioners. So very excited to work with you as we move forward on a lot of work. All righty. With that, we will go ahead and move to item number D, public hearing items. The first item up is a hearing on an application request of a plat of Prairie Farms 3rd Edition. Donald Kress to present.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Donald Kress of the Department of Planning and Development. Our first item here is, as the chair has stated, Prairie Farms 3rd Edition. This is located here along 31st Street South. This is I-29. 52nd Avenue is up here. Here's a close-up of the subject properties. You'll see these are rather differently configured lot lines here that were done in the original plat in 2014. The site is undeveloped. Here's a couple of views of the property there on the curve of 31st Street. And then looking west from across the street and then looking down along the property frontage around here. The zoning there is SR4 and will remain that way after the subdivision is complete. The subdivision is really pretty straightforward. We'll go back for a moment and look at those lot lines here as they're currently laid out. And then we'll see that the plat really just adjusts them, straightens them out a bit, makes them a little more evenly sized and a little more buildable. So that's really all they're doing here. And then there is, in an effort to not have so many driveways directly onto 31st Street, the plat depicts an access easement that takes access along here. So there's really only 2 connections to the street, and that just makes the street work a little smoother. And then here is depicted negative access easements, these cross-hatched lines, and these indicate that no access can be taken directly to the lots from the street. Pretty straightforward there. We did get 2 inquiries from surrounding neighbors, and we explained what was going on, and they didn't have any opposition. Also, just for your background, this is something that is, I think, only here in the city. There's this easement that goes up the back. This is actually a paved roadway, driveway that goes up the back. It's not a city street, but this will remain as it is. That won't change. The applicant's representative, Brian Pattengale of Houston Engineering, is with us this afternoon and may wish to address the commission. Staff's recommendation is stated in the staff report and shown on your screen. That concludes staff's presentation. Thank you, commissioners.
Thanks, Donald. Anybody have any questions for Donald?
Donald, so does that access, is that essentially like almost like a frontage road? Is that kind of how that
Well,
acts?
I guess the frontage road always thinks of something commercial, commissioners, but yeah, it would be just an access driveway. I suppose a frontage road is one way to say it, yeah. Those exist in a few places.
And so, Donald, with that road, is that the city's responsibility, or is that?
No, that's
part
an
of the
easement,
development?
sir. That's an easement. It'd be the responsibility. Have to be an association relationship that they would be responsible for the maintenance of that road. And Mr. Pattengale might be able to address that in some more detail. We're not looking at that part right now. We would require that there would be a documentation that would provide for the maintenance of that road.
Any other questions for Donald? If not, I'll introduce the applicant up. Please introduce your name for the record.
Commissioners, I'm going to skip ahead here a little bit.
Afternoon, Commissioners. Brian Pattengale with Houston Engineering, representing the property owner. Yes, to expand on that access easement thing, yes, there was a desire to reduce the number of driveways along 31st. That's the expression of the city engineering staff. There will be an HOA that is in place to cover the maintenance of that. So it's only for that access. It's just pavement. The lots will continue to have direct utility access off of 31st Street. So we're not having anything like that, cross utilities or shared utility services. It's simply for just that paved driveway. So again, like I said, this is essentially a development to sort of adjust the buildability of some of these lots. A couple of them were a little narrow in spots. They're odd shaped. They're hard to build on. So the owner came in and asked us to help them sort of make them a little more buildable for them.
And the graphic on the screen just shows that plat overlaid on the lots for your reference.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Thank you.
I will open up the public hearing. Anybody want to speak on this application? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Any discussion, commissioners? If not, I'll entertain.
I actually have a
Okay.
question. This is the first time that I've seen this, and I'm just wondering, how busy is 31st Street? Is it really necessary not to have driveways there?
May I
Just
ask?
because we're opening up more,
Well, it is, I don't know, Mr. Borbone, you have any comment on that one? Do you know that offhand?
It is a collector roadway, but that was not a requirement of engineering to have this private drive. It was something the applicant desired.
Any discussion?
I'll move to accept staff findings.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Commissioners, any other discussion? If not, go ahead and take the roll.
Shuey,
Aye.
Glide,
No.
Holtz,
Aye.
Rosenberg,
Aye.
Schmidt,
Aye.
Stoffred,
Aye.
Hess,
Aye.
Mose,
Aye.
Tassa.
Aye. Application approved. Move to item number 2. Item number 2 is a hearing of an application requesting a plat of University South 5th Edition, replatting of lots 1 and 2, Block 1, University South 3rd Edition. Donald Kress.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. This one is located on the South University Drive here, south of I-94. You old-time Fargoans will recognize this is the old Kmart, which has since been redeveloped. This is the lot that the Burger King is on. The Burger King is now closed. Here is a close-up of that. Here's a couple of views of the site from yesterday. Here, standing on Oak Manor Avenue, looking sort of southeasterly here at subject property. And then on the other side, on the right in only here that will provide access. This is a shared access between this and the lot adjacent to it and the rest of the shopping center there, which is known as Midtown Market. The zoning there is GC, general commercial with a conditional overlay. That will not change. The conditional overlay will carry through to this subdivision. Subdivision is really a simple lot combination. There are 2 lots here, existing lot 1 and lot 2. They'll be combined into a single 1 lot, 1 block subdivision. Again, we saw the access here to the shopping center is shared here and here. The lots otherwise do not have direct access. Again, we have those negative access easements. That's explained in a little more detail in your packet. We've had no inquiries from the public about this. Commercial development as allowed by the zone and the conditional overlay would be allowed there by right. The applicant, again, is Mr. Pattengale from Houston Engineering, and he may wish to address the commission. The planning staff's recommendation is stated in your staff report and shown on the screen. That concludes staff's presentation. Thank you, commissioners.
Commissioners, any questions for Donald?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
And this might be helpful in a larger context for our new commission members, but
Yes.
I'm wondering about the conditional overlays. Is how it is stated on the first page of the staff report, is that specifically, or does that outline the specifics for the conditional overlay, or are there
Well-
any other prohibitions?
That just
restrictions?
prohibits, there are some uses that are prohibited, and those are the ones that are lined through on that. And then there are also, as you commissioners know, and you've approved many times before, in the general commercial zone, you'd be eligible to get conditional use permits for industrial uses. You've done this a few times before over the years. Those are not allowed either. Then there's no easy way to note that in that box there. But that's what that refers to as conditional use permits for industrial uses would not be allowed on this. So other than those uses, whatever is allowed in the general commercial zone would be allowed there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Donald? Okay. I'll invite the applicant up. Do we have questions for the applicant? Do you have anything? No, only a question. Okay. I will open up the public hearing. Anybody want to speak for or against this item? Not seeing any, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Do we have any discussion, commissioners? If not,
I move to approve with the motion in the staff report.
we have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, go ahead, take the roll.
Rosenberg,
Aye.
Holtz,
Aye.
Hess,
Aye.
Shuey,
Aye.
Mose,
Aye.
Glide,
Aye.
Schmidt,
Aye.
Stoffred,
Aye.
Tassa.
Aye. Motion approved.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thanks, Donald. Next item is agenda number 3, hearing on application requesting a plat of Eola 3rd Edition. Megan.
Good afternoon, Chair and Planning Commission members. This item is Eola Third Edition. This is a minor subdivision. It's a replat of lots 3, 4, and 5 of Block 1, Eola Second Edition. Property is located at 4410 and 4448 24th Avenue South and 4417 26th Avenue South. So just for some context up on your screen, this is 45th Street. Interstate is up here on the north, and the remainder here to the east is Anderson Softball Complex. Some images of the site. I'm going to pop back just to give you some context. The top image on the next slide is shown at the east side of 24th Avenue, and the bottom image is shown actually over here on the east side of 26th Avenue. So in both images, you're kind of looking into the area that's being replat or requested to be replat. Up on the top image, you can see on the right side, these are the mocked buildings that are adjacent to 45th Street in the northwest corner of the development. Up on your screen, you can just see that this is the zoning map, currently zoned general commercial. The Eola development is part of a planned unit development. The reason for the replat today is to accommodate a different footprint for some of the buildings or one of the building that's been approved for the site. Up on your screen is the replat. So the dotted lines is where you'll see the change. The dotted lines are the Eola Second Edition. So there's modification of these lines to add this line here, to move this line, and then down here you'll see a slight change. So this, as I mentioned, is part of a PUD master plan. Because of that change to one of the footprints, likely the master plan will need to get approved and the applicant's aware of that. So that may be something that goes before your board in the future. Since the publication of the packet, I have received one inquiry earlier today who noted no concern. Up on your screen is staff's recommendation. If that concludes staff's presentation, I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Commissioners, any questions for Megan? Applicant, I'll invite the applicant up if you have anything to add. Any questions for the applicant at all? Okay, go ahead and open up the public hearing. Anybody have anything they wish to add on this item? Go ahead, close the hearing. Commissioners, any discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve based off of staff's recommendation.
I have a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, go ahead, take the roll.
Gly,
Aye.
Schmidt,
Aye.
Hess,
Aye.
Stoffren,
Aye.
Mose,
Aye.
Rosenberg,
Aye.
Foltz,
Aye.
Shuey,
Aye.
Tossett.
Aye, motion approved. Next item is agenda 4A and 4B, hearing on application requesting zoning change MR1 multi-dwelling residential YMCA edition and presentation edition. Megan.
Thank you. Items 4A and 4B is a zoning change and an institutional master plan. This is the YWCA edition and presentation edition. For context, this is on University Drive, between University Drive and the Red River, and then this is a little bit bigger image, 30th Avenue South on the north, as well as 32nd Avenue South on the west. That is the general area of these applications. Applications include YWCA and associated entities, Sisters of the Presentation, and the City of Fargo, and I'll get into that in a little bit. The zoning change request is for a zone change from MR1, you can see here, to MR2, SR2, to PI, Public and Institutional Zoning District. Up on your screen are some images here. So up on the top left is on the northeast side, looking towards the west into the property. On the right, and I can, if anybody has any questions on where our orientation is, let me know. On the top right, this would be on the south side, looking towards the west, and then the bottom image is just looking towards the river. So we have two applications before you today. This image just gives you a little bit better idea of what's happening where. The black outline is the zoning change request. So that includes everything all of the properties mentioned, those would all be being requested to have the zone changed to PI, public and institutional. And then in the blue hatching, that's the request for the institutional master plan. The area outside of the blue, but still in the black, ultimately the city intends to have ownership of that property, and there are some plans for some infrastructure to be built near the Red River. And if there's questions on that, we have Nathan Borboom who can answer that. Also on your screen, just before we move that slide, this building up here eventually will be demolished, and as part of the master plan, there's some plans for this building that I'll get into here. A little bit about institutional master plans. They're specific to PI, public and institutional zoning district. They're really intended to better accommodate unique development characteristics, particularly of institutions that allow incremental development. It allows development or permit review through the approved plan, so long as it's consistent. And then at the end of the planning horizon, the development is fully compliant with the land development code. So many of your board members have seen with, for example, a planned unit development, there's often requests to deviate with a planned unit development. With an institutional master plan, there's really no deviation. It is really fully compliant with the land development code, and you are the decision-making body for an institutional master plan. This institutional master plan for the YWCA has primarily two phases. One of them is for demolition, and the other is for new building, parking, as well as landscaping. So up on your screen, you'll see the area here, this building. Obviously, this is a different building. It's not how it exists today, but this is what they intend, or a maximum footprint of what they intend to build into the future. The planning horizon here is about 10 years. And so I don't think it's identified when those phases will happen, but typically with an institutional master plan, as long as those phases do happen within that horizon, and as long as it's consistent, that's kind of the point of the plan. This image just shows a little bit of landscaping, and there's some portions that they'll need to fill in for landscaping, and that will happen. It's intended to occur with their phase 2 of that plan. A little bit of parking information. So the YWCA, and we have some folks here, I'll introduce them, that I know want to address your commission, is a community service use. So for parking, the Land Development Code allows a community service use to utilize a Schedule C, which is providing a study, essentially. What they propose to do to accommodate parking on site is to allow one parking space per unit, per sleeping unit and apartment unit, provide one parking space per employee at the highest shift for office and childcare staff, and then one parking space per 300 square feet for the supporting service spaces. You'll note in the staff report, a couple of years ago, there was an administrative parking change was done administratively, and this is consistent with that. So the request is kind of more broadly applying that to the whole campus setting of the YWCA. The recommendation is up on your screen. You'll note that they are separated motions, and there's a contingency because your board is a decision-making body for an institutional master plan. The recommendation includes that contingency on approval of that zoning change. So the zoning change will go forward to the city commission, and then the institutional master plan will be approved so long as the zoning does. So we did receive 2 inquiries, as noted in the staff report, with no noted concern. That concludes staff's presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. Questions for Megan?
Megan, you had mentioned the city would look at doing some infrastructure upgrades. Would that be for recreational purposes along the river, or is that more flood control?
I will speak to one. There's potential. I mean, there's a desire for the city to have recreational paths along the river where we can. So I think it'd be a hope one day that we can. But I think there's some more immediate needs that I'll let Nathan Borboom answer.
Sure. So off of 32nd Avenue, we are currently working on the replacement of a storm sewer lift station. That will be occurring next summer. There's an additional one off of 30th Avenue, though, that we need to replace as well. And this structure that we are purchasing also will provide us an opportunity to construct an additional line of flood protection from 32nd Avenue up to where we have it along Southwood. So flood protection related.
That was your question. Any other questions? Okay. I'll invite the applicant. Just say your name for the record.
Sure. Good afternoon. My name is Erin Prochnow. I'm the CEO of the YWCA. Thank you, Commissioner and members of the Commission. YWCA Cass Clay has been a part of our community since 1906. We've been in this neighborhood described for the past 20 years, offering the state's largest shelter serving women and children escaping domestic violence and homelessness. Over the past couple of years, our neighbors to the south and east, the Sisters of the Presentation, have offered us access to their property by way of purchasing it. And so in 2022, YWCA acquired the Sacred Heart Convent and transitioned it into a property now called Lantern Light, which provides permanent supportive housing to 23 families escaping violence and homelessness. Just last year, adjacent, and Megan, you had a slide up earlier that had the smaller 2 apartments just to the east of the emergency shelter, which is on the corner of 32nd Avenue and University. There's 2 smaller apartment buildings called Cove Lane that were formerly owned by the Sisters of the Presentation that have 12 units of housing that we have leased from the Sisters since 2006. And so we acquired those units last year. Between Lantern Light and Cove Lane, we've invested nearly $12 million in renovation and acquisition to bring the properties up to wonderful habitation for those escaping violence. The plan that you have in front of you, as Megan alluded, is that 2-phase component, which would include, raising the building outlined in red, at some juncture, and then building additional supportive services and additional likely affordable and supportive housing. And we know, based on needs assessments from the state of North Dakota and their most recent needs assessment, Cass County specifically is in need of 6,500 units of housing by 2025. Over 2,000 of those have been identified as affordable and supportive housing units that are needed. So YWCA, historically dating back to 1906, has responded to a community need. This is a portion of our strategy and plan to help do that in our community. We're hopeful that you'll pass our institutional master plan and the zoning change to just allow us to continue to serve the community. So I'm glad to answer questions you have, but this is part of a larger strategy of building more affordable and supportive housing in this campus type setting.
Any questions at all? No?
Thank you.
Yeah, no, this makes my heart happy. I know YWCA is huge in Fargo and providing affordable housing for women and children, so. Any discussion? Commissioners? If not, I will take a motion.
I'll move approval.
Hold on.
Oh,
Hold that
we have
thought.
to do 2 motions, right?
Let me open up public hearing. I'm a rookie. We'll open up the public hearing. Do I have anybody for or against this application? Seeing none, now I will take a motion.
I'll move approval. Or are we doing 2 motions, or can we do them together?
So there is
Maybe that's a
the
question.
proposed, the,
It's 1 motion, Commissioner.
yep.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I'll move approval of the recommended motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Commissioners, any discussion? Take the roll.
Schmidt,
Aye.
Foltz,
Aye.
Stoffren,
Aye.
Mose,
Aye.
Rosenberg,
Aye.
Fly,
Aye.
Shuey,
Aye.
Hess,
Aye.
Tossa.
Aye. Motion approved. Next item is, we're playing checkers between Megan and Donald. 5A, hearing application request of zoning change from MR3 multi-dwelling residential to SR5 single dwelling, Harwood's 4th additional. Donald Kress.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Our next item here is Harwood's 4th edition, which is not located in Harwood. It is located here in Fargo. And it is 806 7th Street North. For reference, here is Sanford Clinic here, and there's some of their parking lot areas here. The proposal here is twofold: to take the subject property, which is now vacant. It had a residence on it that was demolished in 2023. The current owner demolished it. It was not in real good shape, as I understand it. Demolished that, and then to subdivide this property into 2 lots and rezone it to SR5, which is our smallest single-dwelling residential zone. That is the residential zone that has the smallest minimum required lot area, and to build a twin home, which is a side-by-side building that each side is individually owned. So that's the proposal here. Again, 806 7th Street North. Here are some pictures from a couple hours ago here. They've been rebuilding 7th Street North, so it was a bit of a walk around through the asphalt to get there. But these are the existing residences. Here is where 806 was. This is just looking straight across at it. I'm standing in the Sanford parking lot across the street, and then here's just a view down the street. If we look back at the street here, you'll see that there's an L-shaped alley here in the back, but it does not provide access to this lot. So the rest of the lots on the street take their access from the alley. The property owner on the end has his garage facing 8th Avenue North, but this one had a driveway, which you see here originally, and the new residents will have to take access directly from 7th Street. That's not part of the subdivision, that's just a background for you here. And again, the current zoning is MR3, and the proposed zoning is SR5. The plat is just about as simple as it looks here. Take a single rectangular property that's 50 by 140 or so there, and divide it in two. We've used this configuration in other areas of the city before, often for twin homes is really what lends itself to it. This is in the core neighborhoods. This is in the Roosevelt NDSU neighborhood. We did host a public meeting. We sent out property owner letters to the property owners and surrounding property owners, as well as the Roosevelt Neighborhood Association. None of those neighbors came, but the president of the Roosevelt Neighborhood Association did come and meet with planning staff and the applicant developer, Brandon Rayboyne, and had a conversation there about the history of the property and the nature of the proposed development and some of the developer's other properties in the neighborhood. He's done some other work in this area. And that's summarized in your staff report. And staff feels that this does meet the core neighborhoods plan as it relates to this property. That's identified in your staff report there, how we believe that supports that. Again, the applicant, Brandon Rayboyne, is with us this afternoon, may wish to address the commission. Staff's recommendation is stated in your staff report and shown on the screen for the zone change and subdivision of Harwood's 4th edition. Thank you, commissioners. That concludes staff's presentation.
Thanks, Donald. Any questions for Donald? Go ahead.
Donald, on access,
Yes, sir.
so is it required to have a garage or parking?
They have a garage.
Okay, so is it one access and then split, or how?
Well, you could build the building. The applicant can describe this more detail, but generally you could build the building either way. With the garages on the outboard, so you'd have two driveways, or on the inboard side where you'd have one. We also have to coordinate between engineering and the forester because we want to preserve the tree. So I want to make sure the trees. So we'll just have to work that out
But
between the
is
departments.
it SR5?
Yes, sir.
Does SR5 require driveways?
Yes.
Okay. So on all SR5, we have to have driveways in-
You'd have a driveway off the streets.
for sure. Okay. Thank you.
Donald,
Yes, sir.
is this lot able to do what the applicant's hoping to without rezoning to MR3? Because I see in MR3, it's allowed to have duplexes. And
Right.
I guess the reason I'm asking is if you look at the zoning map, that'd be the only SR5 zoned parcel within the several block radius.
Right.
of this
Yes, sir, I
site.
can explain that to you. So the difference between the duplex and the twin home is a duplex is a 2-unit building that's all on one lot that one person owns both units. So like I own it, I rent it to you and Commissioner Stofferat, but I own it. Or you own it, you live in one and you rent the other half to the commissioner. A twin home, each unit is on its own lot, which is not the case with a duplex. Standing outside looking at them from the front, you can't tell if it's a side-by-side duplex or a twin home, but there's a lot, it's a 2-unit townhouse, basically, there's a common wall. And that allows for ownership of the individual units, which the duplex would not. And that was kind of a push of the applicant that he did want to build this himself and is doing this all on his own. There's no other financing or, city financing on this. Yes, we realize that would be outstanding there as the one SR5 lot. But as we talk about in the core neighborhoods plan, that is a reinvestment in this, and it does provide ownership and a way to get 2 ownership units on 1 lot. And I know that our Assistant Director, Mr. Williams, has some comment on how this all got to be MR3 when the current LDC, Land Development Code, was adopted. I don't know, Mark, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, years ago, our land development code, the old one, I think 2 land development codes allowed single family to be built in MR properties. And then in 1998, when our new land development code was implemented, there's a transitional zoning, so those zonings automatically turned into these zonings. Over the years, staff did quite a bit of cleanup throughout the entire city on these maps. I would say this area is probably more conducive to single-family residential zoning. In addition, the MR dimensional standards as far as setback don't really replicate it as well as an SR5 as far as recreating that single-family residential look, especially when it comes to the interior side setbacks requirements.
Any other question for Donald?
Donald, if you look at the plan for this development, how does that fit with the housing plan and the missing middle needs? Is this all in alignment?
We talked about the missing middle. That is a rather broad area from 2 to, 2 to 9 units, I believe, something like that. So this does provide, again, an ownership option in a small area. We figured sort of the low end of missing middle, but it would be included in that as we look at it.
Any other questions? Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Brandon Rayboyne. Congrats to the new chairs. It's exciting. One other thing that was loosely mentioned, it's a 50-foot lot, and MR3 has 10-foot side yard setbacks. So you have 30-foot buildable, and we need 40 to 42 feet, somewhere in there. So SR5 has 4 foot on the side, so I can actually fit 2 decent-sized twin homes instead of having 30 feet to just, you couldn't do it. So this is how it looks, and SR5 actually gives us another foot to expand it a little, which is great. So MR3 just gives us 30 feet to build, and that'd be a single house. It'd be pretty teeny.
And so this is 2 units here.
Correct, right down the middle.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Brandon, what are you gonna list those for? Do you know yet?
Our goal is $299,900 for each side. However, hopefully lower, but
Yeah.
maybe higher. It's tough to know. Everything changes quick.
Right.
But
I was
the
just
goal,
wondering what the goal was, yeah.
goal is to keep it under 3. I think that's what's missing. And with the low specials in the area, that's really pretty affordable from a monthly payment standpoint.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you. I'll open up the public hearing. Anybody have anything for or against this application? Seeing none, close the public hearing. Do I have any discussion?
I just want to add that I think seeing projects like this is really exciting for the commission. Talk about the lack of housing often, and this is seeing private investment in align with our needs is exciting. So I would recommend a motion to accept the findings.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion?
Yes, I would just say that, especially in light of the growth plan that's now being undertaken, in the long run, the question will be, how do we increase the density of Fargo without compromising the character of neighborhoods? And this is a good case for how that can be done. And in all cases such as this, it really, in the end, depends on the architecture, whether the architecture fits with the neighborhood and at the same time increases density. So I look forward to seeing the final project.
Thank you. Remind me, we have a motion and a second, correct? Okay. Any other discussion? If not, we'll go ahead and take the roll.
Stoffren,
Aye.
Hess,
Aye.
Moss,
Aye.
Shui,
Aye.
Glide,
Aye.
Schmidt,
Aye.
Holtz,
Aye.
Rosenberg,
Aye.
Tasa.
Aye, motion passes. Last item, agenda number 6, hearing application request of plat, College Third Edition, Donald Kress.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. College Third Edition is located at 1038 25th Street North. This is the 12th Avenue Bridge, 25th Street, 11th Avenue, the railroad here, close-up of the subject property here. As you see, this is a rather differently configured property. In the College First Edition from the earlier part of the century, there are actually 3 underlying lots that were combined into this lot some time ago. It went out to here in 1974. The city acquired what would be the rest of this lot for right-of-way for this intersection. And so there's really sort of 2.5 lots that of the original subdivision that underlie this. So it's a large lot, zoned SR3. And the proposal is to create a second lot on it. Here's what the subject property looks like here. There is some construction going on that is related to remodeling and expanding the deck. And then there's this covered doorway was just added here recently. That's part of the construction. You received a laydown item right before the hearing here that was on your desk. One of the neighbors was asking about the nature of the construction, wondering what was going on. And then there's staff's response, my response to her, looking at the building permits to see what that was actually about. So that's what that relates to. The zoning here, again, is SR3. That won't change. That's a single dwelling residential district. And the plat here, again, so this line will be the new lot line. So the existing house, and there's a garage. Look back at the garage here. That's the garage. Serves this residence. That'll be on this lot, and that'll still take access from the garage because here, and we have this third incidence here of our negative access easements. Since this 25th Street is an arterial, we don't want to have any driveways off here. There is not one at this time. Lot 2 will be able to take access off 11th Avenue North. Won't need the driveway, or won't need the alley. Take access off there. It is sort of a differently configured lot, but we did review the fact that if you take the setbacks, this is the front, this is the rear, and 2 sides, you still have a pretty large footprint to build a residence on that. We reviewed that with our building official staff this morning just to make sure that's going to fit on there. And then you got a big side yard over here. So as you saw stated in your packet, there were some neighborhood concerns about recent activities there. Those comments are summarized in your staff report, and the comment emails are attached. Some of the folks from the neighborhood are here today and may wish to make some comments on that. The applicant's representative, Bakhtiar Murad, is also here this afternoon as the applicant representing his brother, who's the owner. Staff does have a recommendation of approval here. Again, this is just a subdivision. Our recommendation for College Third Edition, as stated in the staff report and shown on your screen. That concludes staff's presentation. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Donald. Any questions for Donald? Okay.
I have a question. With the new plat, would the 2 lots be more consistent with the rest of the neighborhood?
Well, let's look back at the photograph here, sir. As you see, the size of the lots here, this big lot is about 15,000 square feet, and the resulting lots are not evenly distributed. It's an odd configuration, but as you see here, some of the lots are a little bigger and a little smaller here. These lots were originally going this way, and so they've been combined over the years. So it would not be inconsistent. It looks odd because of the weird configuration of the lots.
Okay.
But size-wise, not too far off, probably.
All right, thank you.
The neighbors might have some comments on that as well.
Any other questions for Donald? If not, I will invite the applicant up. Please remember to state your name for the record.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Bakhtiar Murad. I'm representing the owner of the property. And before we begin this, I just want to talk about a short story about the local investor. He lives in Fargo, and basically wherever we go to do construction or acquire a property, we want to make sure that we will give a better look than we got that property before. That lot, we got it on 2019, and it was neglected place, and we spent about good year of doing construction and remodeling it, and we still in a process of doing more improvement. My point is, wherever we go, we want to make sure that that place is going to be look better, so it can reflect on us as a investor and on the community around it. And recently, as Donald mentioned, yes, we had a few concerns, and we took proper action to solve those concerns. Again, sometimes if we don't know about the neighbors' concerns, we can't do too much about it. And it's been 4 years that property's been rented. So far, according to the email I received from Donald, it was one disturbance complaint and two parking complaint. Again, if we know about any issue that the neighbors have with it, please let us know. We will take a proper action. The last thing we want to do to get a bad reputation over us as an investor and make a disturbance to the community. I send my phone number, direct phone number to the neighbors, and please, if you guys have any issues or anything in the future that raise up, just call me directly, and I will be able to take care of it. Thank you.
Any questions for the applicant, commissioners? Okay, seeing none. Thank you very much. I will open it up to public hearing. I would just ask you just go one at a time. And then state your name for the record.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Paula Sell, and I live on 25th Street, and there is no parking. Absolutely no parking except for on 25th Street, an alley, or on their grass. There is no driveway. As he said, there's no entranceway on off 25th. The alley is small, and there are cars he rents to college kids, and he has violated the ordinance where there are only supposed to be 3 people. He's had 6. So we have 3 cars during the winter months on 25th. That's a snow emergency route. We have 3 cars in the back. That's just an issue. It has always been an issue with that house. Second of all, as I said, he's had 6 people in there, and they're noisy. They're abrupt. But let's get to the point. The second house. There is no room. If you take 25 feet in from the sidewalk, so many feet in from the house, so many feet in from the house that's right next door, and I can tell you the space is about this big. Then there's the garage. The garage is supposed to be for cars, except that when I walked by there last Wednesday, the garage door was open thanks to the carpenters. It was full of bedroom furnishings. So there's maybe 1 stall, but the white car in right here, the first white car, that is there all the time. Winter, spring, summer, and fall. So I don't know who it belongs to, but it's right in front of their house. We are a single-family unit, single-family houses all the way through. Nobody else has a second house on their lot. So if you put your set-ins all the way, you end up with about a green space, maybe a very tiny one for both houses. That's not gonna work. And then where are they going to park? You can't make a driveway off 25th, so where are they gonna park? I hope you deny this. That's mine as a neighbor. I live right down the street from it. So, thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak on this application?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Dustin. I live right across the street, right across 11th Avenue North. The parking is an issue. There's no parking on 11th Avenue for a good amount of the year on either side for snow removal purposes. And the 6 college kids living there for most of the time. They'd like to throw huge parties. I've seen 40, 50 cars parked down 25th Street, down 11th Avenue. They go till 2, 3, 4 in the morning. You see that chunk of plywood in their yard right there? The last time, about a month or so ago, there was 20, 30 guys rotating, playing beer pong all day. And I live right across the street from that. I come outside my front door, I've seen 30, 40 dudes urinating all over the lawn, wherever they want, all the time. There's a 4-year-old girl who lives right across the alley from them. My wife lives, my mother lives with us. We get to see that all the time. And it's just, it's very unfortunate. And if he builds a second house there and he fills it with more college kids, how many more cars are we gonna have? How many more loud parties are we gonna have? And, it's just, I dread coming home and seeing the 20, 30 cars parked out there. So, thank you very much for your time.
Anybody else wish to speak?
Thank you, Commissioners.
Can you state
Richard
your name?
Norgard.
Yep, thank you.
I live over on 26th Street, which basically there's a housing unit between me and this property. And I've been wanting to call the police on these kids partying because 11, 12 o'clock at night, I'm trying to sleep. As far as this new addition, there's no room there. Not unless, I have a little trailer that's 6 foot wide by 14 foot long. I could probably park that there and be legal. Anything larger than that is not going to be legal. And with all the parking problems around this area, there's no room for parking. So I hope you will not allow this. Thank you.
Good question. For the residents that are commenting about this, have you contacted the owners in prior times when you've had problems, and what was their response?
I have not. I have talked to this man about it. I told him about all the urinating, and he kind of just laughed. Didn't really care.
He has not been helpful at all.
Okay.
I did not know who the previous owner was.
Anybody else wish to speak?
Commissioners, my name is Alan Schmidt. We live across the street from this house. And the only thing that I'm kind of curious about, we've been here for 30 years at this property. And our neighborhood's pretty calm. But all of a sudden, we get college kids in this house. And things have gotten kind of crazy to the point where you can see our alley that goes in between their development, the alley that goes straight north of their place. Well, we own 3 pieces of property, and our alley goes straight up to the truck route right there. And instead of taking that 25th, these kids will turn off of that truck route down our alley. And I don't know how many times I've had to scream at these kids, telling them, slow down. They're doing 40 miles an hour. We got vehicles that are throwing up rocks and stuff all over the place, coming down the alley. And I've actually wanted to talk to the city and see if we can put speed bumps in there. Just for the simple fact is that, there's children around, there's animals around. And instead of going up to 25th, and like I said, they cut off on the alley because they come down the alley, turn, and then they park. And So it's just, kind of crazy sometimes. So,
Anyone else wish to speak for or against this application? If you're gonna speak, you need to go to the microphone, though.
We have lived in our house for 33 years. And when we moved our house in from the water plant, when they were building the new one, we had to go around and talk to the neighbors. We have never met the owner. This is the first time I've seen him, and they just don't seem to care about the neighbors. It's all single family. Single family. That's it.
Hi, my name is Tamara Schmidt. I'm Ellen's wife. I agree with everything that's been set up here, and I hope you deny this. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, we will go ahead and close the public hearing.
Can I ask a question for Donald?
Yes, absolutely.
Just to be clear, today you're seeking approval for like just the subdivision plat, correct? So some of the neighborhood concerns, is there a separate process that would be applicable to how that looks, or?
Yes, ma'am. So just to, I know some of you commissioners are new here the first day. So what happens here is your commission for the subdivision is a recommending body. So whether you recommend approval or denial, it still goes forward to the city commission for final approval, and everyone will have a chance to testify again at the city commission. They would have the final approval. The zoning enforcement and the code enforcement matters that the folks brought up here, yes, those are handled separately by our code enforcement staff. I did provide that contact to Paula there. I don't know if she's had a chance to contact our zoning enforcement staff, but as they do observe, we do have a maximum of 3 unrelated residents that can live in a single unit. So if there are more than that, that is a violation. And then there's a separate process that your commission is not involved in for that. And as was noted, there was, as we did advise the applicant here, we did talk to Captain Helmick, who is our Fargo Police Department liaison, and he said over the past 3 years, there's been a couple police calls. There was one this party this summer, and then a couple parking ones a couple of years ago. The police take care of those things, and the disruptive parties, code enforcement would take care of too many people there, poor property maintenance, unpermitted construction, so on. So there are actually several different processes. And if they, we can sure advise the neighbors in more detail if they want to contact me or other staff. Our building official is here too, and he's just taking this all in to see what's going on here, so.
Thank you.
So Donald, if we would deny this, we would have to have a justification.
Yes, sir. And the thing here, and I'll start talking on this, my city attorney might want to join in here, is we're looking at a subdivision here, and the findings in your staff report relate to the subdivision. It is my understanding we have to really stick with those. But your commission may want to make your own decision, or perhaps Alyssa can advise us some more on that. If you have questions, more.
So I'm not, this is a difficult one because there's plenty of concern from the neighbors, obviously, for this. And the way that I'm seeing this is that it's a behavior problem of the current tenants, and in a reality where this was rented by a family who it's affordable, their kids can walk to Madison Elementary School, these issues probably wouldn't be here. So from a planning perspective, the potential of that, and then a potential of splitting the lot into another single-family home that could either be sold or rented, and that could potentially go to a family, seems to fit really well with the growth plan and the core neighborhoods plan. So I think from a planning perspective, this project, this application makes a lot of sense, but I do feel a lot of empathy towards current behavior of existing tenants on there. But I guess that's just where I'm coming from right now. I'm kind of torn because these current residents, if they're college students, they're not going to be in college forever. I know that. Hopefully, they're not freshmen and they got 4 more years, but there will be a possibility of new tenants, and hopefully the applicant, the owner, hears these concerns, and when it comes time to renew a lease or look for new tenants, that maybe that's something to be mindful of. But that's not necessarily our job as planning commissioners. I think this project fits well with what the city's goals are. So I would be in support of this project from a planning perspective.
I would just add to that, speaking briefly to the neighbors, I know how difficult and unsettling it is to have a house that's occupied with people who bother everybody else. And that's a real problem in many of the neighborhoods of Fargo, actually. But tonight, the representative of the owner is here. You can all talk to him. I think if a problem like this has to go to the city and dealt with in a legal framework, then it really goes beyond your ability to deal with it personally. But talk to this gentleman and come to an agreement about the future of this house and the behavior of the tenants. The issue before us tonight, though, as Tommy stated, is really a technical issue. And so I'll ask Donald, the second lot that is proposed to be created, is there sufficient space for parking? And is there sufficient space to put a house?
Yes, sir. Well, that would be this is a 6,800 square foot lot. It is, what throws is it's oddly configured, but as the neighbors were mentioning, the setbacks, it'd be 20 feet front, 25 rear. It's an 80-foot deep lot, so you've got, what's 80 minus 45? 35 feet depth, and then it'd be 5 feet from the side lot lines, so 5 feet from here, and it's 66 feet wide, so 56. So you'd have 56 by 35 footprint. And then you'd be able to take a driveway off 11th and presumably have a garage for that. So we don't ask the applicant to design a house for this. We did look at just the setbacks as they were mentioning. This part, not a lot happens with it. You just got a big, weird yard here, really. I don't know, Mr. Radnick, did you have any comment on something like that? Okay. Sean is our building official. So is that what you needed to know there, sir?
Yes, thanks.
Any other questions for Donald? Okay.
I'll move to accept staff findings and recommendations.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Commissioners, any discussion? If not, go ahead and take the roll.
Hess,
Aye.
Mose,
Aye.
Shui,
Aye.
Rosenberg,
Aye.
Glei,
Aye.
Stoffren,
Aye.
Schmidt,
Aye.
Foltz,
No.
Tassett.
Aye. Motion passes.
Commissioners, may I just clarify something? I just want to say something else here. This actually would go to, since it's just a subdivision, it would go to the city commission on a consent agenda. There would actually be no separate hearing. But if the applicants do want to send in additional comments, they can do that. It'd be included in that packet that would go to the city commission. And that is, I don't have a date for that yet. We have to review the plat prior to that. But Paula's got our contact information here, so if there's any discussion, you know how to get a hold of me.
Thank you, Donald.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, that is it for hearing items. We will move to item E, Echo 1, nominating committee. I will call on Commissioner Stoffren.
Well, your nominating committee was busy again this year. There was no public meeting, but there was only one of us there. So anyway, I just want to thank our prior chairman and our vice chair. And so I would like to place in nomination Miranda Tassett as our chairman and Art Rosenberg as our vice chair for the coming session of the Planning Commission.
Thank you, Commissioner Stoffren. Do I have a call for any other nominations? Do I have a second on the nominations?
Second.
I have a second on the nominations. What we will do was we'll probably do a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, we have a new commissioner and vice chair. I think that's all we needed, right, Miranda? Okay. Item E2, growth plan 2024 discussion.
Exciting stuff. This is more kind of a reminder of what's going on. I think we've been doing a pretty good job keeping you informed. We have been receiving comments on the growth plan. We did our kind of traveling road show the last couple weeks. We have the final version in, and we are incorporating some of the comments that we've received. In 2 weeks, the consultants will be in town, and we'll be doing one kind of last round of meetings with everybody with the hopes of maybe recommending adoption of this in August with the Planning Commission and City Commission. So it's just kind of a reminder for everybody, and maybe if there's any still oddball questions I might be able to answer. But that's where we're at, and this has been a really great process, and I really appreciate everyone being involved in this.
I think there was an email to choose, right? Wasn't there an email to?
I believe so.
Yep. Pick a time, yep.
Yeah, that's when the growth plan
Yep.
consultants are going to be here to be
Okay.
able to answer any other odd questions.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Mark, one of my thoughts was, and I don't know if there's a way to do this, but I think it makes a lot of sense. Is there a way to take this current agreement we have and do an amendment or an addendum to it to throw in the land development code process? Because it's the same consultants that we're doing. Is there any way that we can move this forward instead of doing a fresh RFP and going through this whole process again? I mean, has anybody looked at this? Because I really don't want to wait till August to start seeing it. We're not going to get the LDC going until next year.
And I can appreciate your concerns on that. There's a few logistical factors that make it safer for the city to be able to go through the RFP process. In addition, that RFP really clarifies what we're looking for. I think that would be the smoothest process, but I do believe that once we're presenting this growth plan and we're confident in it, we're hoping maybe that same meeting, we're going to have the RFP and get the direction for us to be able to release it to start identifying consultants that would be interested in this process. I anticipate hopefully starting to dig in the LDC November, hopefully, with maybe about a year and a half, 2-year period after that, as far as wrapping it up. So, yeah, we want this started as bad as you do.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So we're hoping the RFP goes out potentially August?
Hopefully.
Okay.
Hopefully right on the heels of the adoption of this. And we did get quite a bit of good feedback and actually quite a lot of compliments on this plan. So we're feeling pretty good that this growth plan is really what the city needs right now to be able to guide us into the future for the next 25 years.
Any other questions? We're excited.
So are we.
I know, right? A lot of work.
Yeah.
And a lot more work to do. All right, I don't think we need to do anything. That's just.
No,
Okay.
that was just kind of an update. And,
Yep.
and call me anytime. If something pops in your head for questions, give me a call. Hopefully I can steer us in the right direction or answer it. So thanks for all your work you've done on this growth plan. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Lots of work with staff as well. So we thank you very much for taking us through the growth plan. I know you'll work as fast as you possibly can on LDC with the staff that you have, right? We're always understaffed trying to move mountains, so we very much appreciate it. Everybody, make sure you sign up for a time to review, when it's convenient for you to kind of go over the growth plan. With that, again, welcome new commissioners. Thank you to those who left. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion a second, and we're done.